Everybody, it's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller, and I'm excited to have another movie review with my friends. We got Joseph, we got Devin, we got Greg, and of course myself, and we make up the Black movie fandom community. Well, not all of us. We're not like four Black people just only talking about movies. There's tons of Black movie fans, but we are the ones that are excited about talking about movies. And on today's show, we are going to be talking about Justice League, but not just any Justice League, the Snyder Cut. It's finally here. What do we think? Is it Black enough? Is Cyborg actually a thing? Do we have Black superheroes in the DC universe? Let's talk all about it. All right, where do we want to start, guys?
Man, where can we start about this with this? I was just blown away, like by this version of this film. Like just everything, the backstories for each of the characters, especially Cyborg. Like
yes,
this time around, I loved how fleshed out his story was. I loved how he showed his power set, which was super duper impressive. Like to be able to access different pieces of any type of technology and kind of manipulate it. That's what I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, I feel you on that. I almost feel like we got cheated out of
yeah.
this whole universe, out of this whole thing. And I think that what I walked away with, guys, was this idea that we need to trust and believe in the artist, and also that in a way fans are a little fickle. So there's the toxic side of fanhood where it's like, you know, we hate anything that this particular director does with our, you know, childhood superheroes. And then there's the flip side where it's like, wow, like we want to see his vision. And like there's fans that are like want to see his vision. And then it actually came to light. And in doing so, we just realized how much we missed out on, and how much, in my opinion, Josh Whedon really like hacked that whole vision up. But again, that's just my sort of like cold notes. I'd love to hear from everybody else as well.
So the biggest takeaway I got was that they need a Kevin Feige. They need a visionary, like just one person to like oversee that the comic book junkie that can oversee, that has some experience. Also, obviously Kevin Feige has crazy amount of experience, right? But it's just to oversee everything, because I feel like that's their only issue. And it's like, are we gonna reboot? Are we not gonna reboot? Are we gonna do all these single one-off films? Which is just like, that's not where it is anymore. Everybody wants serialized, you know, cinematic universes now, right? And they're not doing a good job with it. And it's like, this was like a tease, man. It almost hurt. You know, it's
right.
Like it's like, okay, this is what we could have got. Damn, okay, it's not exactly how Marvel did it, but it's different. But it could have worked.
Well, but I love what you said there, because I think that you hit the nail on the head, Devin, in the sense of like, it was different. It was like, it actually proved to us and proved me wrong, specifically, that you could have done the Justice League without having all of the buildup. Yeah. Like they literally, if they gave us that movie or even a shorter version of that movie, I would have been okay with not having an Aquaman movie until after, not having a Wonder Woman movie until after, not having a Cyborg movie or Flash movie or a Batman movie until after.
That's the thing, is that the only reason why we can say that, like, this is my opinion, is that because it was a 4-hour movie and we got to see everything. So it's like, okay, all these openings,
that was the best part.
All these openings for like spin-offs for different characters, right? Because he had 4 hours. If he had 2.5 hours, I don't know if we would be saying this. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, when I finished watching like Endgame or especially Infinity War, I was like, yo, I want more. Like, I could do 4 hours. But when I watched 4 hours of this, was tough at times. You know, like I'm like yawning. I never thought I would yawn, especially for a movie that I wanted to see. But if 4 hours is tough, you know, and I don't think that could ever happen again, to be honest with you. I think maybe they might have to. I think the way how streaming is going now, it just opens up another universe where we can actually have these types of things. But, you know, will the actors want to do them? There's so many other, you know, complications that come with it. But those were my two.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I'm gonna throw it over to Greg. But before I do that, I will say this, that it was a 4 hour epilogue. It was a bloated or a long movie, but again, take out all of the final 30 minutes, which is like a whole different ball game, and more of just like, saying, the dream sequence part. If you take out all of that, you really have a 3.5 hour movie. But even if you look at it from the standpoint of the actual idea, Zack Snyder's actual idea was to have this be a 2 part movie. So it was like,
that's
it was supposed to be Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, which I still think it should have been Man of Steel, Batman, then Batman v Superman, but nevertheless, it was Batman v Superman. Then it was supposed to be Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2, and then like in between those movies, you had like some of the other things like Aquaman movie,
Aquaman,
Wonder Woman.
Cyborg.
Yeah. So that was the intention. I definitely feel like, yeah, it wasn't a 4 hour, like I couldn't sit down and watch for 4 hours just because my life is too busy. But I didn't find it. There was maybe one moment where I felt like it was boring. And it was just because it was like that Aquaman sequence where he's walking back into the water and the women were singing. Like, why did we have that? We didn't need that. Outside of that, you know what I mean? That was random. But outside of that, I was sitting down, guys, and I was like, oh my God, why did they cut that out? How did they not use this? That's how I was like for most of the movie. Anyway, sorry, Greg.
Yeah. So yeah, to Devin's point about how long the movie was, yeah, I get that, but man, honestly, like I said, okay, I'm gonna dive in, I'm gonna watch this. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Wifey turns to me and says, "What? You're starting this now?" I was like, yeah. Don't worry, I'm just gonna watch maybe just an hour. That did not happen. I was locked in, like from start to finish. Like I was just blown away by how amazing, like how different this movie was compared to what we got in 2017. Like it's not even just night and day. It was just like completely different universes. Yeah. And Tristan, we talked about this very briefly. The first 5 minutes, like that, like I had to go back. Like after I watched, and like I'm on another level. After I watched Snyder Cut, I went back and watched the 2017 Justice League because I was just like, this is unbelievable. Like, how are these two movies so different? And like, just even the beginning, the first 5 minutes, like the original Justice League movie starts off with a little clip with Superman and his like 3D removed mustache, CGI removed mustache.
Just side note, for the life of me, I can't tell the difference. Like I look at it and I can't see it. Like I literally have tried to see it and I can't see it.
If you are watching it on like a big, like if you're watching it on a large TV, you will see it. Like his mouth looks weird.
Yeah, that's the problem. Weird. Like, first, I didn't know what the issue was, but I was like, yo, what's up with this guy? Why does he look like that? And then when I heard people talk, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's like he has no upper lip. It's just all skin or something,
It looks so weird because back then he was filming for the Mission Impossible movie, which
to keep the mustache.
He couldn't shave it.
I got a question. What about the whole fact that in the first, it's okay, let's say they made Superman, Man of Steel, and then they came out with this. They're already facing darksied. Like it took us 22 movies to get to Thanos. And it's like they're already like about to face dark. That for me is like, isn't there some other villain that we could get to before?
But
I know Steppenwolf, but
it was just a setup though. It was just
a setup. It was just a setup.
Remember, they didn't fight him, but they did. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because I did say I went back and watched the first Justice League movie, but I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't get. I really wanted to review the old scene of when they were doing the explainer of when Darkseid first came to Earth.
They don't. They don't even mention Darkseid in the first one at all.
Yeah.
Darkseid is not even. He's not even mentioned. He's not even mentioned. And that's yeah. But
but I swear they have a little explainer. They talk about when coming to Earth the first time and they had to like fight him off. They didn't. You're saying they didn't have that at all in the first movie?
No, not in
no.
the Joss Whedon version.
No.
The Joss Whedon version
made
it was Steppenwolf.
Yeah, they made it focused on Steppenwolf and totally focused.
Okay.
But there's a few things that I think our audience and we have to kind of like unpack, because it's easy to say, let's say, Devin, like, oh, it's easy to say, well, why did they get to Darkseid so quickly? And it's also easy to say, like, how come this version's so much better than the 2017 version? But you have to also look at the fact that like so obviously movies are planned out years in advance, right? And
I don't think this one was though.
Pardon?
I don't think they plan, like, because I said as I said before with the DC universe, it's not planned out.
No, but remember, they just changed. So there's a few things that happened. They had a guy that was a CEO that was in there that was just doing crazy stuff right before, and they were trying to rush because they were seeing what Marvel was doing, and Marvel had at that point, by the time what is it, Man of Steel came out. Man of Steel came out. That was a year after Avengers. The first Avengers came out. They saw how crazy the first Avengers was. By the time Batman v Superman came out, Avengers 2 came out, and that was even stronger, and that was already with another set of movies with like Winter Soldier and all that other stuff. So there was a lot of pressure on DC and Warner Brothers to push out movies, especially after they set the bar with the Dark Knight, right? With Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises. They were the industry standard, and then all of a sudden Marvel came out of nowhere with Iron Man and all this sort of stuff. So there's this back and forth. And so you have to think about the mind of Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder he's not the best storyteller, but I think he had plans to do like 4 or 5 or 6 movies. But then you have Warner Brother execs that are like, listen, we got to make our bang for our buck. We gotta make a hit. We haven't had a hit since Dark Knight, right? The Dark Knight. And now Marvel's catching up and they're doing all this crazy stuff. They had all this ensemble stuff. People want to see that. We need to make that. So I don't even think, and I'm throwing this out to everybody, I want your take on this, but I don't think that Zack Snyder was even in the mindset to be able to make a movie like this in 2015 when he was filming. Because remember, when Batman v Superman came out, he was filming Justice League 2015, 2016. Oh, yeah. So I don't know. And he then he did reshooting and some other stuff for the Snyder Cut now. But I don't think the Snyder Cut today is really the Snyder Cut we would have gotten if he was still the lead in 2017. That's just my personal thought, but I would love to know your thoughts.
I agree. I feel like the what we got last week, I guess, is like a culmination of obviously the reshoots, but he's had time for this idea to like this story to marinate. Like it's been marinating for years, and we all know about marinating. This all came together, and it was just like, wow, like he literally gave us everything, which was great. Like, and I'm gonna take a step back.
Your thoughts, Joseph?
Oh man, on the movie. Well, your point about Warner Brothers, like that's always been their MO. Like as far as I can remember, with like the older Batman movies, after Batman Returns, it's on Warner Brothers' MO has always been, let's put out these films to make the sell toys. Let's put out these films to sell a bunch of merchandise, screw the story, screw whatever. And this is why their films always, their DC films especially, always suffer, because they're not really letting the filmmakers do what they need to. It's always about pleasing the audience, however they think they need to please the audience, and not letting the director do what he needs to do. And
I do want to push back on that. I do have to push back on that, and the reason why I say that is I'm gonna bring up three movies. Joker won an Academy Award, okay, which was, and it was a totally different spin on comic book movies. Now it elevated comic book movies to critically acclaimed levels. We have Aquaman, made close to, or if not, $1 billion. Wonder Woman 1980, or Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, made close to $1 billion. So they are making success off of these one-offs. They just didn't have the success necessarily with the Zack Snyder verse, right?
They're always gonna make success. There are comic book movies. People want to watch them. They're always
That's not necessarily true, because look at Shazam. Shazam didn't make that money, right?
Yeah, but it was a good movie. It was an awesome movie.
Yeah, Shazam
it was a very good movie.
Yeah,
it was a very good movie.
I don't know how much money they made, but I mean, I've seen it. I assume that they're gonna make enough money to pay everybody. It's just how much profit they're gonna make. Yes, I understand that. I'm just saying, it's like when you give a director all this control to say, okay, I'm gonna make 4 movies off of this, or I'm gonna make 5, or Christopher Nolan's he's gonna make 3 movies, and then that's it. That's my issue, because then it stops with them. It's like, have a guy to be a visionary, and then he has a storyboard of how he wants to make the universe, and then you can tell a director, okay, I'm gonna give you this franchise if you want, or you can give him a one-off movie, but he has to have certain elements to connect it to something else.
Yeah, but literally what you're saying, Devin, is something that, like, it makes sense in our heads right now, but you have to think about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we didn't have Kevin Feige as a blueprint. All movies, specifically comic book movies, were done where it was like, we did trilogies, or we did one, and if it was successful enough, then we did another one, and then if that was successful enough, we did another one.
When did Man of Steel come out?
Man of Steel
came out in
2013.
2013. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but we had Iron Man in 2008.
2008. Yeah.
But remember,
that's 5 years. When by the time 2013, we had the first Avengers, right?
2012. But remember when they first started, with in 2008 with Iron Man and with Hulk, Incredible Hulk movie, they had no idea what they're doing, because they recast the Hulk. They were just like, okay, we're gonna try something, we'll see how we can connect it. But most of the phase 1 movies of the MCU, they weren't connected. They were like, they were kind of whispering and saying, oh yeah, there's something happening in New York.
No. Yeah, okay, I understand that. Like, but then they would throw like an end credit scene to connect everything.
Yeah. There were hints.
It's gonna connect to something bigger. You understand what I'm saying? And that's vision. That's what I'm saying. And it's like, okay, by 2013, DC could have looked back and see, okay, this is what Marvel did. I'm not saying you have to copy them. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the blueprint was out. Now you can adjust the blueprint how you want to do it. But I just feel like okay, once Zack Snyder, he makes his 5 movies and then he's done, right?
But I don't think that was the idea. I think the idea was for Zack Snyder, and again, a part of it is business too, right? Like, it's totally. I hear what you're saying, but it's really tough for me to totally agree, because what Disney did was something that nobody else done and has done in the past and will probably do again. We're connecting 22, 23 movies all together to create some amazing universe.
That's the way now, man.
Pardon?
That's the way now. And if you don't do it that way,
I don't think it's necessarily the only way that you can do it. I think that it's the way that Disney can do it, because they have the money, the resources, and the brand recognition, and people trust. Because here's the thing. Do you think that people didn't want to do that with Dark Knight, or didn't want to do that with other franchises? Like, there's tons of, if it makes money, studios are going to continue making those films. Look at Harry Potter. Look at all those other franchises. Sorry, go ahead.
The Aliens, Universal tried to do it with their monsters, and it kind of flopped.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. Just because the blueprint is out there, and people and Disney and Kevin Feige have been brilliant in executing it, it doesn't mean that it's like solid gold. The other thing is that you got to also look at, like, again, by 2013, 2014, 2015, people already wanted certain things out of comic book movies, because they were groomed by Disney to think, okay, quirky, funny, intense, great action scenes, but clean and popcorn movies. DC was known for dark, very like heavy, very adult style comic book movies. The reality is that that's what they do really, really well. Any of their movies, most of the movies that you see that do well, at least for DC, are ones that look like Dark Knight, that look like the Joker, that look like things that are not necessarily just popcorn movies where I can take my son. It's something with heavy topics. So, and that's not bad either. That's worked for them as well. Please tell me which Disney movies or Marvel movies have won Academy Awards in Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. There's none. It's only
the closest to an Academy Award was Black Panther, but that was
costume design. I think it was costume
and
design.
Best Picture.
Yeah, and it was nomination. So I'm just saying, like you can't look at like Disney and just say, okay, well, they're doing it perfectly, because they are doing it perfectly from a business standpoint and from a fan standpoint. But again, Warner Brothers is also getting critically acclaimed movies. Like, I'm just saying that for some people is a measure of success as well. And they're making box office. They are making money. It's just they're making money on one-off movies instead of the full universe, which I enjoy. I enjoy the Disney model. But again, I'm talking too much. Greg, what are you saying?
Okay.
I just wanted to put some perspective just with all the points that were brought up. So Man of Steel came out in June 2013. By that time, Marvel had already released 7 movies. They were on Iron Man 3 at that point, which is just crazy. Like, wow. But still, to the point of, like, you know, as Devin said, like, you know, they didn't need to copy Marvel. They have their own style and tone to their movies, which is fine. But that key thing about having that visionary, and it was there from the start with Marvel. Like, there was that, I think maybe just last year, they released that extra credit scene from the first Iron Man, I think it was, where Samuel L. Jackson was supposed to mention X-Men, Spider-Man, and all this other stuff. And it was like, wow, like that was from Iron Man. Like they knew where they were going from the start. So having that visionary would have been so key for DC. And even though, yes, they would have been starting late, I don't think anyone was like, oh my gosh, we need to see Justice League right now. It was just like, we just need to see you guys do movies, because the problem was that they released Man of Steel, which, you know, everyone received well, but then they didn't come out with the next movie for 3 years. And it was like, there was such a huge gap between the two movies, like Man of Steel to Batman v Superman.
That's another thing. When you have just one director and his vision, he can't be everywhere. He has to go movie by movie. You understand? And then you got to keep that same cast doing 3 movies in a row. Like that's hard to do. You know? Yeah. When you have one guy that has a vision, and then you have multiple directors, then you can have 2-3 movies a year. Like that's true. Like, there's so many things that Marvel did right, where WB or DC franchise was just like, they just was so late and this completely wrong, man.
See, I can't even disagree.
But there was the one guy that was supposed to oversee everything,
and Jeff he messed Johns. It up too.
Yeah, Jeff Johns, because he had a big ego. Like, he wasn't really. He wasn't. Yeah. Well, he's like one of the big guys at DC Comics, right? Mm. As far as like entertainment is concerned, like he's heavily involved in the TV shows and the movies as well. And the problem from what I've read is that, you know, he wasn't willing to listen to other people that were working on these films, especially Zack Snyder, which is why you had why they butt heads, which is why, you know, I think ultimately why Zack Snyder ended up leaving the Justice League film. And
well, his daughter committed suicide.
His daughter, on top of that, which was unfortunate. But, you know,
Marvel had issues like that too, Joe. Like they got like that Edward Norton. They had issues with him. They obviously recast him, and they've had other directors leave a franchise, right? Ant-Man and stuff like that, right?
But it wasn't really like
but it's different. Yeah, it's different. It's different. But Devin, it's different when you have leadership that says, okay, we're going in one direction. And because here's the thing, I'll give you a prime example. we're praising Feige and the Marvelverse and all that sort of stuff for what they're doing on Disney Plus with Falcon and Winter Soldier, with WandaVision, all that stuff. Oh man, look how they're connecting this and television versus films and all these interconnected things. Yeah, but you notice how nobody talks about the failure, the abject failure of the Inhumans, or the abject failure of the agent, whatever the Shield, whatever Agents of Shield. You know what I mean? Like, no, but I'm saying like, again, Marvel's not perfect. They're great.
For
They're
sure.
doing an amazing job. But I'm saying that was those failures were because executive that was higher than Feige was saying, no, we want to do this. And then Feige didn't want to connect it to the cinematic universe. And now he has control over everything. Now there's some symmetry. Yeah.
So well, that's the thing, right? Like he was always, Kevin Feige has, I think, voiced his like very raw, just said that like he hates everything that was created on TV. So that's like the Netflix stuff that was created, the Inhumans, like you mentioned, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like he disliked all that stuff. So yeah, once they gave him control, like Disney finally bowed and said, okay, you are the king of everything now. Like you control all content. So now that, you know, he's literally turned into Thanos and has all the power to connect everything, you know, no one really talks about it because no one, like, I mean, a good chunk of people watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and not me personally, I've never watched it. Like, because it wasn't connected. I actually watched the Inhumans, which was very interesting to watch, but it definitely wasn't the greatest content.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the beginning was connected. Even Nick Fury showed up in that show. They try to talk about, obviously, like, how did they try to talk about, like, the first Avengers and the whole destruction of New York? They connected things. And then slowly, I think when Kevin was like, nah, man, this ain't gonna work. That was it.
All right. Listen, guys, listen.
Back to Snyder Cut.
Back to Snyder Cut. Back to Snyder Cut. Wow, see, this is what happens. See, the black movie fandom. That's what it is. It's just it is what it is. But no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So listen, like Snyder Cut, great movie. Like we got to talk about Cyborg because all I remember from the first Justice League movie is that he showed up, his dad died, and then that was it. Whereas
he said booyah.
Yeah, like the cartoon.
In this new one, though, it just went so much deeper. Like he was literally the primary. To me, he was the primary character. Like I was like so hyped over Cyborg, man.
The majority of it was centered around him.
Yeah, which was just good.
I thought after watching the first one with Joss Whedon, I was like, this guy. I thought the character was garbage. I didn't know too much about Cyborg anyways, but on top of that, I was like, there's no way. This guy's like a Hawkeye maybe. Like, he can't have his own franchise. There's no way. Yeah. After watching this one, I'm like, I want a whole movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I could do a whole movie of him struggling with what he's going through, you know? That would be great.
That'd be cool.
I can't believe, what I can't believe is that they cut out so many scenes, but specifically the scene, it was probably 5 minutes of the movie where his dad is explaining his powers and how he can like control all the nukes and shift money and shift stocks and all that sort of stuff. And then you see, which is a huge character development moment beat, where he's following, you know, kind of creepily following that lady and seeing that, you know, she's struggling and she's trying to get tips and whatever else. And then all of a sudden, you know, he basically, you know, steals money from the bank and gives her like a whole bunch of money, right? Which I don't care. The bank takes so much money anyways, right? But I felt like that was such a great character beat and moment that was a missed opportunity. I don't know how you pull that out.
That's the thing, though.
That's so important.
Do we know if that, like, to me, like, that's a great point you mentioned, but I'm just like, do we know that was a deleted scene or was that an added scene? Because to me, the entire movie was so seamless. It, like, I couldn't tell what was, you know, something that was cut versus something that was reshot, you know, outside, like comparing it to stuff that we did see in the first movie. Like, it was very well done.
I do feel that the last scene after the nightmare scene with Bruce and Martian Manhunter.
Oh yeah, that
was obviously a reshoot.
Yeah.
I mean, look how small.
He looked different.
Yeah, look how small. What's his name looks like. His body looks.
Yeah,
so
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck looks so out of shape there. He's like, oh God, I gotta take my shirt off again. I just came out of rehab. No, no, I love Ben Affleck. He's one of my favorite actors.
Talk about Flash.
Let's talk about Flash.
Flash.
But before we talk about Flash, I really do need to hit this home with Cyborg. Okay. I feel like it's it's problematic for me, especially because he's the only black. If we think about black superheroes specifically within DC, he's the only black superhero who's a part of the basically the first class family of superheroes, right? Which is the Justice League. He's one of the original members type of thing, right? Or maybe not original, but like close to original member. And he's the one that really the movie is about. He's the linchpin. He's the one that has the mother box. He's the one that understands how to pull it together or take it apart, all that sort of stuff. And the one black lead, they cut all of his part out. They don't cut out like, you know, stuff with Wonder Woman or with Aquaman that much or whatever else. I mean, there's not many scenes with them even in this version, but like they cut out one of the major components of the movie, and he so happens to be the black character. And it's just, to me, I just always, you know, I'm always a cynic, and I'm always thinking, what, like is that like a subtle jab? Like what is that? What are you trying to say?
All Joss Whedon. That's all Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
I agree with you to an extent, but I also feel he was probably also taken out because he's the least known character of all of those. You know, so it's like if anybody has to be taken out, it's like it's gonna be him. You can't take out Wonder Woman; she had her own movie. Right? You can't take out Aquaman; he had his own movie.
No. But back then, Aquaman didn't have his own movie. I can understand the big three: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Aquaman. There's no
Aquaman. I feel like Aquaman. So I feel like you're right, Tristan. Definitely those three. Like you just couldn't, because we already got those three in the previous movie from the from the movie the previous year, Batman versus Superman. We already had, you know, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. So everyone's familiar with them. And then Aquaman,
and the box office draws.
Exactly. So with Aquaman, I feel like, you know, they're gonna give him his shine, or, you know, not cut his stuff, because what's it called? He's, even though the character Aquaman didn't have his shine yet, the actor was well known. You know, Game of Thrones, whatever.
He brings a whole new like universe. You know what I'm saying? The whole underwater thing, that's a whole different thing, you know? So it's like you can explore that. Cyborg, I don't know how much you can explore. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I take like right after seeing all that, all like the new Snyder Cut, I'm like, yo, I could see Cyborg in his own film. But I see him in 3 films? I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, three of his own films.
Pardon me. I'm just saying, could you make a real franchise from Cyborg?
No.
Not really. A series, maybe. But
I think a series would be better. But
why I'm saying that is because that's why he's the least amount. Where Aquaman, there's so many probably different enemies, and you can make a real franchise with Aquaman. That's what I'm saying.
But think about the potential of Cyborg being that he's half man, half alien technology, right? Yeah. The interconnectivity of the universe, of being able to, like, people being drawn, like extraterrestrial life forms being drawn to his ideas and his technology and blah 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 blah. The other ideas of like taking in some of that sort of Winter Soldier type of vibe, where it's like, you know, the insurgence of technology into our lives, mass surveillance, all of that stuff, him trying to, you know, usurp governments and do different things. Like there are storylines based upon the fact that you're using technology, you're using his race, you're using alien species and that sort of thing. Like there's themes within the Cyborg universe and character arc that you could at least make 1 or 2 movies off of, and they'd be very interesting, I think.
It's funny. I was having a conversation with my boy Mark, and he was mentioning that Cyborg could be as powerful or even more powerful than Superman. Think about it. This is a guy that can adapt to different types of technology, different types of alien technology, whether it be Kryptonian, Apocalyptic, or even like Thanagarian. Like he's that powerful.
Like the whole thing was just that, like, man, like in the first movie, it's just like, all right, well, there's this guy who's like half robot. And then after seeing this, it's like, man, like you can't even fathom how powerful this guy is. Like not even just the being able to control all the, machinery and whatever. You know, he talks about like being connected to the mother box and having this language in his head that he can't even decipher yet. Like he's just opened up to this whole like universe and dimensions. Like it's just crazy.
I'm just having a spark idea right now. I know it's a little off topic, but imagine a Cyborg Batman crossover movie. Like what that would be with Batman's smarts and resources, and obviously Bruce Wayne and like, you know, him always trying to figure out certain things, and then Cyborg being able to manipulate technology. I think that would be really interesting to see those two work together. And like there's just so many. I think the possibilities are endless. Unfortunately, the actor will probably never play that role again.
Oh, why not?
That's a whole other story.
He basically claims like racism against him from the last CEO, Walter Hamada or whatever, or somebody else
and
who was running
and all
DC.
these people.
Yeah, he called them all out. Well, yeah, of course I believe that, because look at the movie. Anyways, let's talk about Flash. What do we like about Flash? What do we love about Flash? Who wants to talk about that?
Me first.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that, you know, I just remember like when we, like, I think it was me and you, Tristan, and I you know, and maybe some other folks, and after we saw the first Justice League, we were just like, oh man, like that was terrible. Like that was actually terrible. But the whole thing that like kept us going throughout the movie was, I guess, the comedic relief of the Flash.
Yep.
And then now to come to this movie and then see him get so much more shine, it was just like, wow. I'll pass it on to you guys now. Let you talk.
Man, it was cool to see how powerful Flash it really is as well. Like the way the Speed Force works, the way he was able to, like, even that one scene where he's saving the girl, or who's supposed to be Iris West, from the crashing vehicle.
She was a nice little brown skin girl there. That was a nice little brown skin girl.
yeah. Oh man.
Iris look nice in the iris.
Right? No, honestly, dude, I was blown away by that scene, and the ending scene where he had to, like, what was it? He had to like run around the
he used the Speed Force.
Come on. I was hoping you wouldn't get to that.
Crazy.
Yet. That whole scene needs its own discussion.
Oh my gosh. The fact
I
that
guess I'm the opposite of all you guys.
Oh,
I personally don't like the actor. I don't like how he portrays Flash. I like the cool stuff that Flash can do, but I don't like the jokes. They never hit with me. Not one of them. Matter of fact, anytime he came on the screen, I was already like pessimistic, you know, like, oh man, like what's this guy gonna do? Like what kind of joke is he gonna crack, you know?
Question for you, Devin. Question. Do you more so prefer the Flash that they portray in the television series?
Maybe the first 3 seasons.
Okay.
I like that Flash. I did like that Flash more, to be honest with you. But I mean, I don't know if he's a movie actor, you know, but like this Flash, like he just came, like even his running style, I'm not like the way he runs, or the way how he sets up his run. I know that's his own style that they said that he wanted to incorporate. Not a fan of that either. But I do like just the special effects that he was able to, like, that they showed on the screen. I like the fact that his, like, when he wanted to start to run, his shoe burst. Like those things are mad cool.
The little details.
So realistic,
Him carrying his own movie, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I love it. I loved everything about the Flash. I thought that he had good comic relief, and I think that I feel like when you look at all the other Justice League members, they all have some sort of cool factor. Aquaman is like just a badass. He's just like, oh, I drink, I swim, I have women, right? You know what I mean? Like he's super buff, super strong, so he's cool. Then Batman is super rich and super smart, and flipping, like, it puts fear into the Joker. You know what I mean? Then you have Wonder Woman. She's called Wonder Woman, and she looks like Gal Gadot. Okay, that's end of story. Then you're Superman. Nothing can stop you other than a green rock. So I mean, you have to have, and then you have even with Cyborg. Yeah, okay, fine. It's a funky name, but the guy is made out of alien tech. He can still wear a hoodie. He's buff as heck, and he's black. The end of story. So the only person that you have left that can kind of be quirky and bring a little bit of humor and bring a little bit of levity is Flash. And really, when you read the comic book, and when you read the comic books, it's either Flash or Green Lantern. Well, you don't have Green Lantern in this, so you have to use Flash as the comic.
I'm not saying that I don't want Flash to be funny. I'm not saying. I'm just saying that his jokes.
Yeah, the jokes.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like the things that they made him do wasn't that funny. Like, I
found it funnier than the last time.
When Batman throws the thing, his
batarang
ninja star,
Yeah.
and he catches it. And he's like, can I borrow this, or can I keep, like, that wasn't funny to me. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious. I love that. I love that. I loved it. I love the part where he's like, the part I thought was kind of, actually the other part that I thought was kind of cool was the whole Flash sequence when he saves Iris and like he takes the hot dog. I was like, what is wrong with him? Is he like kind of like, is he like is he on both sides of the fence or something? But then when he showed it and he connected it to I didn't know. I was like, was this a meta joke I was missing? I don't know. So then when we saw him in the dog shop and then he's feeding the dogs a hot dog, I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. I said, you know, all of that was cool and it tied together. I mean, other than the fact that, and I didn't notice this until somebody pointed it out. If we really look at his story, he didn't really know Iris. So I don't know why he wanted to save her other than the fact that she looked beautiful. But then as he's saving her, he's like, he caresses her face and her hair, and it's kind of like, dude, you don't even know her. Like that's kind of,
well, you know,
that was kind of creepy. You know what I mean? Like what's going on?
He was just like starstruck, you know.
Okay,
and
cool.
remember,
That's
he saw her earlier. He locked eyes with her earlier.
So next time you smile at a girl, go back up to her and just caress her hair, smell her
hair. And the police are called.
Exactly. So what are we talking about? And I guess only white dudes can do that because sorry. I'll cut that out. I'm sorry.
I couldn't.
But
I want to zero in on Batman though.
Yes.
I love how Batman how they did Batman in this version as opposed to the Joss Whedon version, where you know he was more. How can I describe him in the Joss Whedon version? Like, it was completely different Batman from what we got in Batman v Superman. I'm glad that you know this version.
Give me an example. Give me an example of both movies. Why you say
okay? That? Do you want me to go, or do you have an example?
You go, Tristan.
So there's clearly in the Joss Whedon version they made a different Batman. For instance, when they're fighting Superman when he's lost his damn mind, right? And Superman punches him or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, stop, Clark, relax." And Clark just goes boom and licks him into the cop car. He's on the ground and he's like, "Oh, something's definitely broken." Batman would never say that. It sounded like Lego Batman. Like that's all like something's definitely broken. What?
I like Lego Batman stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas like in this Batman, he's like everybody needs to do their job and blah blah blah. And like that line that they took out, which was like they never fought us together as one and blah blah blah. Like that was dope. That was like let's do this.
Yeah, there was definitely more hype behind that point for sure.
Yeah.
Like in that scene, he felt more confident facing Superman as opposed to the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah.
I also liked in this version where he was more of a leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
This one as opposed to like the Joss Whedon version where he was kind of like shaken in certain scenes, especially with the scenes with if you remember the Joss version, his scenes with Wonder Woman, where he was kind of like shaking anytime she would snarl, like it was like a flirty kind of weird thing. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I got rid of all of that.
What I did like as well with Batman was that because of the power of the enemy, they couldn't utilize like the same sort of techniques that they did in Batman v Superman versus humans. Like that fear factor wasn't there because Steppenwolf can just like snap Batman in half, right? So what they did was they used his technology again and his resources as his most powerful weapon, leadership, resources, and his technology. Because again, you look at like whatever that truck thing that they used in that underground
Night
pipeline area.
Oh, the Nightcrawler.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Nightcrawler. You look at the Batmobile and how much
Yeah.
that scene was way better in the Snyder Cut, where Batman actually has a scene where he's like kicking, you know, the butts of all of the different alien. Like, we didn't get that in the Josh Whedon cut at all. I was like,
No.
where's Batman? Batman seems like he's scared of all these things.
Yeah, you didn't even get like one single punch or blow in the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah.
If I can remember. You know, everybody else was doing the fighting, but it was cool, honestly, to see Batman throw down in this one.
What do we think about, I'm gonna throw this question out before we continue, but what do we think about all the additional elements of language and blood, especially like with Wonder
I don't
Woman,
mind it.
with Batman, like the amount of like these guys, like DC characters actually are killing people.
They had me up. I was like, yo, did he just kill? She killed? And I'm looking at my kids and they're looking at me like, Daddy, is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? I'm like, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I like it. It's realistic.
Yeah, it was right off the bat, man. Like even in the beginning scene where we have that, what is it? The museum, I guess, gets overrun by those terrorists, and you know, Wonder Woman busts into the room, and man, that scene alone, like there were so many little additions, like it's crazy. But like they show, like, you know, she grabs one of the guys, throws them into the wall, and the man's like head literally bursts on the wall, and there's a huge blood splatter. Like right away, I was just like, whoa, like all right, we've crossed the line.
Yeah, and they did that to the Atlanteans when they're bringing the Atlantean guards out of the water. And then Steppenwolf kicks that guy and just throws him to the rock, and you see his splatter again. So there's a lot of those little details, which is fine. I found it to be fine. And I feel like, again, that's the difference between like DC versus Marvel. Marvel will never do that. Unless it's like some sort of alien life form. Marvel will never, you will never see it like an actual, like you won't see blood, not to that extent.
Or it'll be what is it? It'll be like kind of one of those things where maybe like someone's head is about to be crushed, and then they'll like do like a cutaway, and then you'll just see splatter or something. Maybe as you said, if it's alien.
Think about it this way: if they could do it in the cartoons, the animated movies, then why not the live action stuff, right?
Yeah,
but that's usually the MO in the animated films. A lot of blood, a lot of
real life makes it feel like real life, and when you're showing kids that, I don't know.
No, definitely don't want to show kids that.
I don't have an issue. Like, I like Marvel style. I'm okay with it. I don't wonder, man. Like, yo, he should have just killed him there. I don't think about that when I'm watching a Marvel movie, right? I only think about it because I'm like, it was like, whoa, we actually seen the guy fall off the building, or we seen a Wonder Woman scene where we just see the guy's hat just floating down. I'm like, what the, you know, like I only notice it because they make you notice it, right? But it's not a game changer for me at all, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. How do we feel about the Snyder Cut? What are our final thoughts?
Talking about Superman? I don't know. Superman?
I for me, and this is okay, we can talk about it. For me, it's very short and sweet. To me, Superman was pretty much the same Superman from the Josh Whedon version. You know, obviously the black suit was kind of cool. Obviously, the way he came in at the end was a little bit better with Steppenwolf, but outside of that, he was the same exact character and same sort of plot device to kind of bring a resolution. But that's my thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
They didn't change too much with Superman in this one. I do like the certain subtle things with him and Lois. Like you get the idea now that, you know, Lois is pregnant. They're expecting. You know, he's about to be a husband and a father soon. So that was pretty cool to kind of.
Everybody's complaining. Say, yo, why is everybody always giving Superman kids now? You know,
right?
It's like, damn, we can't just concentrate on Superman.
Yeah, but then it's like that in the comic book now. He has a son that has powers, and is like up next to be the next Superman, and it's actually really cool. And then there's also Superman and Lois that's out right now.
Well, we also have to think about it this way too, in the sense from the standpoint of like, Superman is only one being, and the reality is if he is actually in love with a woman and they're intimate, that's going to happen unless we get really technical and we're like, well, he's technically an alien that looks like a human, so we don't even know if his junk is actually the same or his biological tech is actually the same as human being. No, but like realistically, like the guy can levitate and fly and lift heavy things, right? So it's like, okay, well, you know, would his stuff actually, his semen actually kill Lois, right? Because it's too toxic, too powerful for her eggs, like all that sort of stuff. You can go right into the weeds.
Remember Smallville solved that still. I think Lana had to get some powers.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, but yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Devin, about Superman?
I'm just like, I know Superman is obviously crazy strong, but it's like he's so overpowered. I'm like, okay, in Batman versus Superman, Batman was Batman almost won that.
No.
You know, Batman came up with some nice suits, obviously had a crazy game plan.
Yeah.
And then in this one, it's just like, three mans are hanging on him. He's looking at Flash sideways, and it's like they're like literally flies, you know. And I'm just like even Diana, it's like he just like, obviously she gave him a little headbutt, but then he's like yeah, bang, and then she's done. And I'm just like, and Steppenwolf is bummy of him. Like when he knows that Superman is like, when he knows that they did something with the boss to bring back Superman, you could just you might as well just made him start crying. he was like, damn, it's coming, you know. And then when Superman came, like he dealt with him so bad. Like I was like, damn.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes Superman interesting is not that he's super powered, right? We know that his greatest weakness is the fact that he's not super smart. Not to say he's a dumb guy, but he's not a super smart guy. He's like an average guy, like just, you know, and his heart, he trusts people, right? His weakness is the fact that he trusts people and he's a good person, right? That's his greatest strength and his greatest weakness, right? With Batman is his greatest weakness is the fact that he's human. He's a human being. He has no superpowers, but he's super smart and he's rich, right? So everybody has something, right? You know, Diana, I don't even know what her weakness is. I guess she's kind of like the female version of Superman in that sense, right? Obviously Cyborg is a cyborg, so he's not human. He's more machine than human. So, you know, how much empathy does he have? Flash is, you know, he can run really fast, but he's not super strong. And he's not necessarily, I don't know how he's in the comic books, but is he super smart? I don't think he's super smart.
Barry Allen's
smart. He's a scientist too,
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he is super smart. Okay, cool. So he's super smart and he's super fast, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's super strong. And he's not necessarily, he's really socially awkward, right? And
no, but I don't understand how the way how I seen Flash, like when he would touch somebody, when he's going fast, they would just like go far away. But
absolutely,
Superman, he flew back. Like I don't understand his strength in that movie. That was a bit confusing.
What Superman or Flash? So
I don't
remember the Flash when he's touching other things, right? Like other things, it's based upon the gravity and the matter of that thing, right? That object. Superman is a Kryptonian, right? Remember, go back all the way back, and I love the way Zack Snyder explained it in Man of Steel. When you're in when they're on Kryptonia, or when he's on the Kryptonian ship, his body has to get used to the weight and the heaviness of the gravity of Krypton, right? And that's the way they breathe, that's the way they live, that's the force that they live under. That's why he can fly and he can see things, see through walls and all that other stuff, because it's almost like Earth's gravity and Earth's matter is a lot thinner and watered down compared to Krypton. So when you're dealing with, let's say, for instance, Flash trying to push Superman, first of all, Superman can brace himself because Superman, he like looks while he's holding the other three Justice League members, he's looking and he can see how fast Flash is going, and he can brace himself and go boom and hit him. And because he's made out of a different density and different thickness, Kryptonian blood, his density is different than what the Flash needs to run at, or the speed and the force by which Flash has to run at him by. So it makes sense when you think about it and you break it down. You're like, okay, well, Flash has never really gone against somebody at his likeness or his density. Now, I think if with the right run up and the right speed and right focus, Flash could deal with anybody based upon the speed and the force by which he's coming at somebody. But he wasn't thinking of Superman being, another next level density than a Batman or a Aquaman, right? So I think that, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of,
that was a good answer. That was a good answer.
You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah. So that's it for Superman. Greg,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Superman, he's dope, and especially Man of Steel, like my fave movie. But this movie definitely, I feel like Superman. I mean, it was good. The whole thing about Superman that I liked in this movie is that I felt like in the 2017 release, it for some reason it just felt like everything was revolving around Superman and like we gotta get Superman. That's it. Whereas in the Snyder Cut, it was like they did it perfectly. Like I actually wasn't really like interested in Superman. Like I was interested in everybody else. Like that. And I think just having him come in the way he did in the Snyder Cut was perfect.
Yep. No, I agree with you. I like him. I do. I did think, the Snyder Cut was done so well, and I'll wrap up with this and then we can get the final thoughts and close off. But for me, my takeaway for the Snyder Cut was every single one of the Justice League members had their moment, and it made me feel like each time that they had their moment, I was like, oh, I was rooting for them. I was like, damn, this is my favorite Justice League member. Then I see Batman do something badass, and I'm like, no, that's my favorite Justice League member. Then Superman comes back and blows on this thing, and then it turns into dust, and I'm like, no, Superman's the best. And then I'm like, oh shoot, Wonder Woman's jumping up and throwing up this thing, and it's exploding, and then he's bashing somebody's head in. No, Wonder Woman, no, Flash. And it just, every time each person had their shine, I was like, that's my favorite member. And the only other movie that made me feel that way was the first Avengers. I felt like it wasn't to the same intensity where I wanted to tear off my shirt and run outside like right. That was like Avengers Assemble. Like it wasn't like that, but it was like it made me feel a sense of grief because I was like, man, like I wanted that feeling. I wish I got that feeling when I saw this in 2017, where it was like, damn, like DC is there. It's right there. And like the Justice League, these characters are just as cool. Like think about when you think about the brands of DC versus Marvel, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I just have to say this. DC, the top 3 DC characters are by far more popular and more engaging and more interesting than the top 3 Marvel characters. Now we can talk about that at a next level, a next date. But look, but think about comic book characters, and you say Superman, Batman. The next one may be Spider-Man, and that's where Marvel may win. But Superman, Batman are the top. You can't get
definitely
higher.
The most iconic. The most iconic.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
Spider-Man is more. I don't know. Spider-Man might be
then Superman and Batman.
Spider-Man's on par with Superman.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Spider-Man is obviously, we're not just talking about strength. We're just talking about popularity, right?
Yes,
popularity. Yeah.
Spider-Man is everywhere, bro. Spider-Man,
everywhere.
Come on, man.
In this day and age, for sure.
Especially with the Spider-Man back in the 90s show, like he's up there with
boxes, dinner plate, what was it, paper plates, toys, everything.
So let me just put it to you this way. How many logos, how many business logos alone do we see do a play off of Superman, the Superman logo and emblem versus Spider-Man?
So many.
I mean, people put Superman on lunch boxes, on t-shirts. On my son had a Superman, whatever, like sleeping uniform before he could even speak. So I mean, Superman is DC.
That's you, though. That's you. You're the one buying it for him.
Of course. But, I mean, people around him are buying it.
People are dressed like I have a nephew in Saudi Arabia that all he can do is all he wants to do is wear Spider-Man stuff.
Yeah.
Like the Spider-Man like costume is, I would think, is more popular than Superman.
Okay.
No?
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, that's a rabbit hole I created.
We'll
My
do this
apologies.
offline, 'cause, yeah.
We are at the end of our show. Quick recap. I think that the Zack Snyder cut was amazing. I'm sad that it ended here. I'm sad that we're not going to see his full complete vision. But if you haven't seen it, it's worth the 4 hours. Maybe cut it up into the chapters and break it up that way. It's about 6 chapters. It's well worth the $10 that you have to pay if you're in Canada to watch it on Crave. Next up, who's next up?
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I'll jump in quickly. I thought it was a great movie. You know, definitely rewatchable for me, but through parts. But you know, Zack, if DC don't want Zack Snyder, you know, he could jump over to Marvel. We'll take him.
That's it.
Totally different look, but it would have been. It would
Yeah.
be. Greg.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, great movie, man. Most definitely rewatchable. For me, like I it would definitely be tough to watch it in parts. Like if I'm watching it, I'm watching the whole thing from start to finish. So definitely, being a 4-hour movie, definitely got to put it in the calendar so I could just have that time to watch it. But yeah, definitely sad that we aren't gonna get any more. Like before, I guess with everything, DC, Warner Brothers, they went on their path of like, hey, you know what? They admitted defeat. They said, you know what? We don't know. We can't do what Kevin Feige did. So we just going to do all these one-off movies and see what happens. And, we got some success with that with Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman and whatever else. Joker, of course, Joker, amazing. But it just sucks that, they have these iconic characters and, they really fumbled the bag with the 7 or 8 movies or whatever they came out with. And the plans for movies that they supposedly are coming out with, there's a lot of trash in that too. So it's unfortunate. I kind of accepted the defeat with them too and was like, okay, well, hopefully we get these nice one-off movies like Joker and so on. But then now that the Snyder Cut came out, like, man, like really, you're not gonna look at it, like you're not gonna take a chance again. Like, come on, man, you can't. Like, even though, yes, Marvel's they're in their second phase of the next saga, so they're like 20 movies ahead. That's fine. My key thing is that, man, just even for this movie and just in life in general, you can't be afraid to start over and like start from zero. So, man, I really, really want DC to like revisit this and like think hard about like, man, maybe should we try and do this again? And I really think they should. I really think they should. But yeah, no, great movie overall. Joe.
Man, this honestly is like Zack Snyder's redemption song.
Yep.
You think about Man of Steel, which was pretty good, but he got a bit of flack for that one. You think about Batman v Superman, which suffered from a lot of bad reviews,
Yep.
and you look at Justice League, which was kind of marred by all this controversy. Then you look at the Snyderverse, or the Snyder Cut, sorry, which is just phenomenal, man. That was like 4 hours well spent. Like, yes. I remember like watching the first 2 hours, then like taking a little tea break, and then coming back and watching the rest. And I'm just, the whole time I was at the edge of my seat. And like, I was just, man, just everything, the little surprises there that got me, the fight scenes, the one splash sequence, and being a comic book guy, I love the fact that it played out like Justice League comic drawn by Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. And if you remember Jim Lee stuff, like Jim Lee did the Justice League, he did the X-Men back in the day, and you got that feeling with this film. So I love it, man. I'm loving it, dude. Like I want to see more. It's unfortunate that we're not going to see more of like, the Snyderverse and that nightmare scene, which would have been an awesome movie.
Yeah. But, I mean, oh man,
nightmare scene was kind of, but no, go on.
And then like the deathstroke.
Don't you say it? You're walking the tight line, Joker. you mother ever.
Right?
I'll kill you, rip your face off.
Right? Man, that scene was pretty intense. Like, I don't really like Jared Leto's Joker, but it's just like, yeah.
But I was hoping that, I
Yeah.
totally did not expect to see him. Like, that was a surprise to me. But then I was like, it literally looked like they shot that scene in in the garage somewhere, and like that was the practice shoot, because there were a lot of especially when Jared Leto was speaking, like there was a lot of long pauses and panning of the camera, like the focus on his hand for so long, and then he started trembling. Like I was just like, what? This was like the practice shoot. Like it was tough.
Listen, this was a labor of love. Zack Snyder wanted to put as much as he could in it because he wasn't going to get any. By the way, just last thing, thank you, Zack Snyder, for doing this. He didn't get paid for it. He just did it because he wanted to finish it. So big ups to him. He didn't have to do it.
Wow, that's big. I didn't know that.
I mean,
that's huge.
So the man got money to reshoot, and he didn't get any extra pay to finish directing. So it's all good. Again, this is Black Fandom, or the Black Movie Fan channel. We really appreciate you watching this very long, very in-depth discussion about the Zack Snyder Justice League 4-hour. It's almost like we had to honor this 4-hour movie with a pretty much half of the Snyder Cut review to be able to really honor it the way it needs to be honored. So on behalf of Joseph, Devin, and Greg and myself, we just want to say thank you, and definitely join us for the next review, which will be soon, because we'll be talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1 and 2. Talk to you guys later. Peace.
Peace.